Hi, welcome back to another Ask the inFlow expert. My name is Khiry. I'm part of our success team here at inFlow. And today I wanted to go over something that a lot of people tend to ask about, which is Showroom. Just before we get started, as always, please like, comment, subscribe. And if you have anyone who is in the inventory management kind of space, feel free to share these videos and get them a little bit inclined to what inFlow is, because I think we'd be able to help a lot of people. Also, share any videos that you'd love to see. It's always really helpful when you get to hear from everyone and what you want to see, because that makes it easier when we make these videos. So we look forward to seeing that. Let's get into it. So we know our homepage, and to get to Showroom, we're going to hit this little Showroom button here. Now, Showroom's a great way that you can use in a lot of different ways. It was mainly built to be for B2B sales. It's a nice, easy way that if you don't have a website, or if you do have a website and kind of wanted to add to that with another area where people can order directly out of the inventory that you have like in your warehouse that you're tracking through inFlow. This is a really great way of being able to do that and not have to pay any extra money for, this kind of feature. Some plans may not have it, but, reach out to your customer success manager or our support team to find out more if you're not seeing it a part of your plan. But it is a really easy that if you do have a plan, for most plans, this is included, and it makes things super, super easy to show inventory to people outside of your company or your business, and a way that they can make orders and have it show in your inFlow inventory software and make it really, really easy to complete those orders. In some cases, you can even have them pay for those items right through here. Using a website like Shopify or WooCommerce, they could get, a little pricey when it comes to managing them. So we try to keep things, as most things are in inFlow, simple. So let's get into some of the settings here. Once you're in here, of course, you're going to start by seeing your shop name at the top. Just know you can control this through your global settings based off of the company details that you put in. I'll quickly just jump into that. So the details will be for your shop in the company details here, which are under your company name. So just keep that in mind if you ever do want to play with that. That will be customer facing for you. Will be up here. You will also see at the top of the page your preview public showroom link. I'll jump into that just to show us really quickly what that looks like. So as you're editing, you might want to take a look at what that looks like. This is kind of very basic in terms of the editing that I've done, and that's important for this video, just kind of keeping it simple just to show everyone how things work. But these are the products that I have in inFlow currently. It's just looking through everything right now, and keep that in mind because we will touch on that if you do want to isolate some of those things. So yes, this is generally what it will look like. On your showroom, you'll have the availability for your customers to see things via, categories. They can put things in alphabetical order. They can lay them out in price by low to high or high to low. So really, really easy to get to those. They can even go into the product, see a bit of description and details about it. It'll even pick up things like the units of measure, that you have set up in your inFlow page itself. So let's get back to that, but that's how you can do that. Also keep in mind that there is something called Showroom Pro that does give you the ability to make this showroom have the ability to customize your own domain. So if you got something through like a GoDaddy or something like that, just know that that is possible, but it is an extra add-on. It's not something that comes in baked in the plans. So again, reach out to your success manager and the support team. You know where to go. So showroom general settings, that's where we'll start. When I hit edit settings, this is going to be for your general showroom. This will be also like what the public version looks like. Here's where you can play around with things like theme colors. So this is how the layout of the colors on the page are going to be. You can have it in a list view or a grid view. I'll kind of show you that really quickly here. So if I go to list view, what you were seeing before was the grid view. But if I go into list view now, you can see everything is now placed in a list form just like that. So So you can play around with those two formats if you need to. I'm going to put it back to grid. You can play around with the fonts. We have just 5 here: Roboto, Georgia, Verdana, Impact, and Courier New. So you can play around with those as well. You know what? I had it on Verdana. Let's put it to Roboto. You can also put a text banner. Now, this is something that will show up at the very top of the page. This is a shop, and I'll jump into there just to show you what that looks like. A lot of people use this in different ways. I think one of the coolest ways is like if you do have some type of deal going on or a promotion, this might be a good way to put that banner at the top there. So you can see how it's just showing up on there, and it's going in my theme color that I set for blue to have that populate at the top. And you can definitely set up a banner. I think that makes it eye capturing, on the actual page as well. If you do have a logo or you do have some type of banner that you'd like to put on there, that's a great way to make your site look a little bit more customized to how you may have it set up, right? And to match your ideas and your thoughts of your company and your business and the whole hierarchy and layout of that. And when it comes down to products now, I think what everyone is most important or waiting for is how and what products are going to be showing on the site. So you can see that it's selected everything right now. I have all products selected, but you can isolate these by category. You can even go down as minute as the products themselves. So in air conditioner, for example, I can come in here and I can see those products and I can say, hey, you know what? I reserve these for, wholesale businesses. So I'm going to not put these on my showroom because maybe I'm only dealing with kind of like a retail way of doing this or a direct to customer way of doing it. Even though it is B2B or B2C, showroom can be used in different ways. So you can have that isolated there so you don't have to show all of that. You can see here now I'm only showing 1 out of those 3 products. But people use this in a lot of unique ways, and that'll also be something that you can take advantage of when you start building your private showrooms, which I think is one of the most important parts of showroom. So I'll back out of that. You can see now that it's saying that 95 products are selected because I don't have every single product anymore. So that's something to keep in mind. You can also exclude products when they're out of stock, so at least that way you don't cause any overbuying. Some people, again, may want this. Sometimes people don't even use showroom as a way of purchasing. A lot of people might also use this for field technicians, and maybe they need to request tools right through showroom. They don't have access to the actual inFlow account, and this is a really, really handy way that someone on a job site could easily say, hey, I need more of these materials, put them through on showroom and send that through. But maybe in that case, you want to exclude some when something is out of stock, so that way they don't see it, or you do want them to have it, and then now you know that you have a back order or that someone needs to have those ordered for you. A lot of different ways that can be used. Show and take will be based off of location. So again, you don't have to show your entire inFlow inventory. You can have it set to a specific location that's only available on the showroom as well, or you can connect it to all of your locations that sees everything. Now, display settings is also going to be very important. This is going to be what the people on showroom are going to be seeing. So you can, again, hide stock levels. You can see that it's going to give you kind of a real-time view of what this is going to look like. So if you hide stock, it won't show that there. You can have it only show available, so it tells you that something is in stock. This would be separate if you had this turned off. So at least you know that it'll say out of stock, and hopefully somebody won't still try to go through and ordering it through you. So that's a really great way to have that. Or you can show the exact number, in this case, like 9 in stock for this scanner. For my case, I'm just going to leave it to only show availability for right now. You can also have it display the picture. You don't have to if you don't want to. The category, again, some people may not necessarily care for that, but again, it's really good for filter purposes. And description, maybe I don't have to tell you every single detail about it, but just know it's there. And then you have some added options as well when it comes to measurement, SKU, remarks. And if you even make custom fields on your products, you can also have those show up on there. Now, contact info is going to be when somebody does make an order, it's going to send that person a confirmation of the order. It's also going to show the inFlow user a confirmation as well that somebody has made an order. Where does that email go? That's going to be what contact info is for. So you want to set up the email that is most important there, a phone number, and a contact message. So then that way, if somebody is trying to reach out, all that information is going to come through to that person. I'll go into edit to public showroom settings. Here is where you can enable the access to the public showroom. That's like when I go into my preview options, I can see it easily. You don't have to be signed in. Someone else doesn't have to be signed in. This is really handy that, hey, maybe you are thinking of adding somebody to your showroom and you send out the preview of what it looks like. You know, they're like, hey, we want to be clients of yours. We want to start buying from you guys. This is really easy of a way that I can just kind of order things from you every single month. And from there, you know, you can show them what that would look like, and then they can sign up from there. So that's also really handy that you can set up for them. You know, you can have it display pricing. You could have it not show prices. Maybe you want to wait for them to actually sign on before you start showing them pricing. So you can also have those details controlled as well. And then checkout. This will be done in a lot of different ways. So generally, Showroom is only going to send orders and it will not require payment. It only really requires payment if you are using inFlow Pay. I'll send a link in the description just to our article, just so if you do want to find out more about what inFlow Pay is. But once you have inFlow Pay set up, you are able to accept payments through Showroom. And that'll allow people to actually make purchases right through there. You can also control the order status if it needs confirmation, a cart reminder if somebody does abandon their cart, and then a checkout message. So keep in mind that right now Showroom doesn't offer shipping as an option on there. So you know, one of the generic messages that we do create is like, please note that prices do not include shipping. This will be added when the order has actually been confirmed. I know there are some mix-ups that can happen with this at times, but rather let you know ahead of time. And there are ways like around this. Again, always feel free if you do want to see some of that. Hey, let us know and comment below and we can make a video to show you how that works. For post-order message, this will be what they get in their email. So then that way, we let them know that we got their order, everything is confirmed, and we're getting to work on it. That'll make more sense when I go into a little bit more detail. Now, adding people to Showroom, right? You can invite in a lot of different ways. One is if you don't have their information at first and you had to collect it, you can put in that customer's name, their email. That will send them an email that they can then confirm from there. They can also do this through Showroom. So if they are new to Showroom, there'll be an option of where they will need to request access. That's when they can enter their email, and then that will get entered over here where you can then confirm it, and then it will send them a link to set up their Showroom, so then they will then have access. If you already have customers in your inFlow account, you can actually send them an invite right out of here as well. So you can just select who that customer is, enter the email, and send that off as well. You can also invite all the remaining. So if there are customers that, again, in your system with emails that have been provided, you can send those out directly through there and then wait for them to accept. And then those private showrooms will show up below here, kind of like mine is right now. So I have this email set up with my name. I have currently set their pricing to my normal pricing. There's no tax in this situation. You even have the ability, as if someone has the same exact settings as another customer, you can copy those settings over from who it needs to be, so that you don't have to go through the setup process, or you can even just edit their access. Now, keep in mind here, you're editing the access of that particular person's showroom. And this gets quite handy because now you can get really detailed into what you want that specific person to see. So if you don't mind that much, you can have it match the general settings, and that's going to our regular settings that we had set up over in our edit setting general settings over here. But maybe I do want to edit a few things. Maybe I don't want all products on here. Maybe I don't want them to see air conditioners or chairs or cleaning chemicals or comp here or, computers. we just want them to take a look at everything else. So 84 products available, and that would be the only things that they will be able to see. In terms of stock, you can have it again match the general settings, or you can have it so maybe they are only seeing things in a specific location. That also gets really handy, because especially if you're reserving stock for a certain type of client, that would be perfect to be set up for them. So then they're not seeing extra stock. They're only seeing the stock that you have allocated for them. Again, can be used in so many different ways around this, but it's really, really handy. Again, if you do want to control, should they see prices or not see prices, you're again editing this for this specific customer. And then, taxes. Maybe I did want to add a different tax in there. I know it's only 0% here, but hey, I'll put HST on there. So then that way that there is a tax related to this person. All right. And then once you make any changes, if you do any updates, you can even send them an update of this. And then that way they can know that something has changed to the private showroom that they have. So let's take a look at what my doppelganger here of what their showroom actually looks like. So you can see right away, very similar. One thing you might have caught in my general settings preview is that there was not a cart here. So this is generally what somebody who is accessing showroom would see. So now they can come in here and they can add these products to their orders. And as you add things, you'll see it gets added to their cart. And they can just kind of go through these. I can click into the product itself. I can see information about it there. I can still add more. I can add multiple quantities. And I can, even end up back here. And one thing I did also want to show is the option of variants. So t-shirts here, we can see that it has this little 9 beside it, because it's actually telling us that there's 9 variations of this t-shirt that I can purchase. So in inFlow, I have this set up as a product group. Again, I'll link something in the bio just about product groups if you need to find out a little bit more about that and how to set up variants. And you can choose your size. In this case, I'm going to buy a large black tee, and I'm also going to buy a large white tee. And I'm going to get 2 of those. And that gets added to my cart. But you can see how easy, just kind of like a regular e-commerce website, of how easy it is that you can go through all these different variations and order those as needed. A lot of people like to use this internally too. Maybe you're setting up new hirees and they have to choose the type of uniform. This is a way that they can make it so they can kind of order all that stuff, and then it gets sent into inFlow, and then somebody is fulfilling it. So here's my order right now, kind of like a preview. We're already getting like a dollar amount totaled at the bottom. And let's hit checkout. And this is going to bring me to a page that I think we're all familiar with, of just what a detailed kind of outline of your checkout page is going to look like. This is where you're going to enter your name, any shipping details, any billing details. And again, really none of this is a requirement. Again, when I come back to things like field technicians who might not have the time to do all this, simple name just being filled in here, which you can see auto populates, is perfect enough that you can just place an order directly from there. But if you do want to add in all these different details, you can also do that too. So I'm just going to fill this out for the sake of showing what the sales order is going to look like after. So I'll fill this out. And there. Thank you. We can also see a preview. So again, if you just needed to see or make any changes in the last minute, you can definitely go and add that. Hey, I just realized maybe I should get, a couple more black t-shirts. So I got a total of 11 items and $32. We can see now I got that order placed. It lets me know what the sales order that got created in inFlow. Might not necessarily be important to me as a customer, but at least I get to know. I have a reference to, if I do have to contact anyone, what my order number is. Now, if I'm a user in inFlow, what does that look like? I'm going to go into my sales orders here, and I can see already that sales order 57 is in here. And you can see that it's filled out with my name, the day the order was created, and the shipping address is already filled in by me filling in those details. You can see the taxes are brought in, the products are also brought in, and the dollar amounts that are in there. And then if I'm in inFlow, all I really have to do is go through the regular motions of, picking and getting that set up. Or if I just need to fulfill, I can fulfill that and get it shipped off to my customer. And you see, it's that easy to just go and use Showroom as a way of getting people outside of your organization to send in orders and get inventory moving. I hope that was helpful. If there's anything more that you want to see in terms of Showroom, again, please let us know in the comments. But until next time, we'll see you then. Thanks so much. Take care.